This week on SailAway. Our last bit of fun in the U.S. Virgin Islands is over, and our way is cleared to plan our trip to St. Martin and begin the massive list of projects for Ophelia, all in preparation for an Atlantic crossing. The only thing left to do is bid farewell to Lauren's brother Luke and his partner Chase, after a fun-filled but somewhat soggy week. Hope you guys had fun despite the rainy end.
Yeah, we got spoiled the first part. So we'll take it. Yeah. Thanks again, guys.
See you guys.
Be good. Safe passage over to St. Martin.
Rivers had to have his umbrella today. Just no umbrella use on a dinghy. Alright, let's just go ahead to St. Martin right now.
Well, it's been a crazy day, and it was not expected to be a crazy day. We dropped my brother and Chase off at Red Hook. We were all the way over in Maho, and the plan last night when we went to bed was that they were going to get off the boat in Maho, get a taxi, get on the ferry, and go to Charlotte Amalie. Well, we got up this morning and the wind was right for us to take them all the way to Red Hook. So we anchored. Actually, we weren't anchored. We were on a mooring ball. So we left the mooring ball and we went to Red Hook and we dropped them off. And we had a couple things to do in there, and it's like, oh, okay, we'll do some of our chores. We had to pick up our last paddleboard that we got. But the wind has been really, really weird. We were kind of close to some of the mooring balls, so we decided that we were coming back to St. John. We're gonna go around to Rendezvous for the night, or so we thought. Would you like to explain further?
Our plan was just to go to Rendezvous tonight because the anchorage was kind of weird trying to find the right spot in there because it was so calm and all the boats were going all over the place and it's current. So Lauren said, let's just go to Rendezvous tonight. It's close. It's downwind, even though the wind's light. We'll stay here tonight, and then we'll go to Charlotte tomorrow when the wind turns. And as we were motoring out toward Rendezvous, I was looking at the wind, and forecast has changed just a little bit, and it seems to be in our favor. We're getting, it's kind of light wind, it's like 10 to 15 for the next 6 or 7 hours, then there's kind of a light spot, but then it fills in from the north. And the worst it ever does, it looks like, is goes just a little ahead of the beam, maybe like toward the end of our trip, depending on how fast we go. Whereas before, if we didn't make enough time, it was going to be pretty hard on the nose. So now we're like, I don't know, we've got all the things done that we were trying to do. Maybe we just go. So we're leaning really heavily, so we're going. We're just going to pull in here, drop the hook for just a few minutes to take a really close look at the weather, and then we'll probably haul the dinghy up and set sail. We think everything else is good to go. So that's how things change.
Yeah, because at first, when we were talking about Luke and Chase leaving, we'd already looked at the weather and it looked like it was going to be a good day to go to St. Martin. So we had kind of planned earlier in the week that today was the day that we were going to leave. And then 2 days ago we looked at the weather and decided, it wasn't a bad day today to leave. It was just be motoring where we would like to sail because of our one engine. And now it's kind of gone back to what it was before. So we're just, all over the place. We're trying not to make a rash decision, but we are really ready to get there. And since it was the plan earlier in the week, we are like prepared and ready. I went to Moe's, the grocery store, right before we left Red Hook, so just to grab like eggs and things. So I don't know, we'll see. Let's look at this weather. Something out in the Atlantic.
Oh yeah, that's what's causing all this.
Crazy.
Here we are now. Yeah, it's really freaking light. It takes until like 7 before it starts to kind of fill in over here. But then it's filling in from the north, sort of northwest. God, man, it's so light. And then finally, by 10 a.m. tomorrow, then it really kind of starts to fill in, sort of slightly northeast. But I mean, definitely sailable for us.
Yeah, but that's what, like 12 hours of motoring?
Yeah.
I think that's too much.
That's just not enough wind.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll change in the morning and we can just go.
Let's just say like 6 a.m. That wind out of the northeast, so it'd be a little bit ahead of the beam, but not as much as you would normally have sailing to St. Martin. And then it's blowing 20 knots out of the north, and we're 2/3 of the way there. Although we would be sailing a lot faster. The waves get a little bit much at that point. 2 meters, 2.2 meters, 2.4 out the middle, 7 seconds, but coming from a good direction, theoretically.
Right. So I won't lie, this boat's a mess. I would like to clean it up a little bit before we go. And I would like a nap and or just sleep. So now, what's our next split-second decision?
Here's why this is such a big deal. This stretch, although it's short, it's a small passage. At 5 knots, it's 19 hours. But it's pretty rough. In our experience, it's almost always rough. And we've talked to other people, same thing. So many people just wait for really light wind and then just motor, always St. Martin. Because otherwise, in typical conditions, you're going straight into the trade winds, or if you're trying to wait for a weather window, you're waiting for typically a little bit of a northeast shift so that you can sail it. But you're sailing into the wind, and if you've got wind coming from the northeast, that means it's coming all the way across the Atlantic, and the waves are built up. And so you're going into wind and waves, and it's just rough. It's rough going from here to St. Martin, rough going from here to Antigua, and we've had really rough passages just trying to go to Martinique, which is even a much better angle. So that's why, like, we're giving this so much thought. This is a really rare situation where we've got wind, although it's kind of flaky and moving around, that's mostly behind us, and then just a little in front of the beam, and waves that are behind us the whole way. Even though out in the middle they get a little big, they're still behind us. And so there's this big dead spot in the forecast that would probably require us to motor, and we try to avoid too much of that. But this might just be the best situation we have to get there. Again, it doesn't seem like the type of passage that would require this much like thought and hem-hawing, but I don't think we want to miss this opportunity downwind. Our motor has been working well for us. We try to take her easy on it. I'm going to check the fluids again, just make sure everything is cool, and it might have to put in 6 to 10 hours of motoring to get us there, which should be able to do that. And if it doesn't, then we sail. We drift, and then we sail when the wind fills in. And then once that wind starts to fill in toward the end, we should be moving pretty fast. So even at 4 knots, we get there in like 24 hours. So we're going to
Do it.
take our time, just getting things sort of straightened up and cleaned up and make sure everything is kosher, and then put the dinghy up and get out of here.
Yeah.
All right.
Alright, I guess we're doing this. Let's do it!
Woohoo! The excitement is palpable. All right, looking much more ship-shape now.
Yeah.
I feel better. Checked our fluids, everything's cool. At the generator, checked that earlier. It's running well, it's fueled up. It's time to do it.
It's gonna be a good sunset though. Okay. Away we go. Let's go.
We're off. One more time.
It's like the
raindrops.
third time we've like left anchor today. Alright, well we're gonna put the main up. We're gonna get anything and everything, hopefully. And we'll get some wind!
Well, we got a pretty sunset to start out with, which is not something we usually say because we don't usually start out at sunset. Sort of motor sailing right now. We got just a little bit of wind from the south, weirdly. And I'm sure that's mostly to do with just the island effect on it. See what happens when we get outside of the USVI. St. John sure does look pretty right now, and so does St. Thomas.
And with that, it felt like we were putting the first chapter of Ophelia behind us and pointed ourselves toward the next chapter, a really exciting one, we think. And much like this passage, we're going to think it through, plan it out as best we can, then hang on and see what happens.
That is the end of St. Thomas right there. That is the end of St. John right there. So long, St. John. So long, USVI. Woohoo!
There's time. I'm hungry.
All right, cassoulet in honor of our destination. We are having a pretty darn good passage so far. We've got a lot of company out here. We've got a massive cruise ship right up here in front of us. We've got some other kind of boat over here on the side. We've got a couple of lights up front that I think are sailboats. And right now, we're cruising along at 6+ knots with about 13 knots apparent at about 60 degrees. Kind of waffling between 60 and 90 degrees. And we're pointed at an arc kind of north of St. Martin, just so that if we need to, if the wind goes in front of us, we'll be able to turn down. Had one squall plaster us from behind. 25 knots of wind for about 10 seconds, and we did 9 knots for about 5 seconds. And then it sort of tapered down into the high teens and just drenched us from behind. But that was the biggest excitement so far. Like I said, we're just kind of watching all the boats. This is sort of a high traffic lane back and forth between St. Martin and the Virgin Islands, so definitely got to keep a lookout. But no complaints. I'm gonna turn these lights back off and continue my shift. Peace.
6:30 in the morning, and the sunrise that we have is pretty indicative of the night that we had. It's been really rainy, it's been really wet. Got about 35 more miles to go to St. Martin, so it's like 5 hours. I'm cold, but it's just what it is. It hasn't been too bad, so we're still getting there.
How about this ride?
Glad it's at the end.
It was like pretty bumpy, most of the way, but this is the big finish. Did you notice there's some pretty big waves? Okay, good.
They're not as big as they usually are.
They're not?
No.
Big waves, dude. Like 8 feet.
Yeah.
We've been on like 20 feet.
Like
No.
this section as you approach St. Martin can have some pretty big waves, and I think the prediction said somewhere around 2 meters, and this is definitely every bit of that. And they're coming from the side, not from the west like they were supposed to be. Why didn't you do what you were supposed to, waves? Good news is, we're making great time. We really are bringing it home in style here. The fastest leg of the passage so far is going to be the very last couple hours. These seas are nuts. This was what I was worried about trying to avoid earlier when we were looking at the forecast before it like kind of mellowed out. Because it looked like if we didn't get here before a certain time today, this was what it would be for like at least half the way. Actually, this is arriving faster than what we thought, but luckily we are here faster than what we thought too. So, crazy. Alright, well I'm going to look a little closer at Navionics and see how much time we got left. I guess it can't be more than a couple hours.
18 miles.
18 miles. Cool. Well, y'all, there it is. We are making our way into St. Martin, Marigot. Not there yet, but safe to say we have arrived. Now we just got to get in, get this thing anchored, and hopefully the conditions aren't too bad inside. This is not a great wind direction for Marigot for rolliness, but I don't think there's usually much more than that. Whew. This one's been a little taxing. Not to speak too soon. So far, so good. Boat's in good shape. So let's keep it that way. Get this thing anchored and get some French food. I might be tired, but I don't think I'm too tired to get some French food. Are you?
Hungry.
Yeah. I'm hungry and I want somebody else to make it for me.
Regarde là-bas. Est-ce que tu nous vois? C'est difficile à dire. La vie sans toi.
Welcome to our new home for the next big stretch. We'll probably wind up on the inside eventually, but the French side is just so easy to check into, and they've got bakeries.
Well, it's always the first place we go. Cafe au lait and some pain au chocolat and some quiche and a croissant jambon. Jambon. Alright, but here's our passage drink because we're not drinking yet. Cheers.
I'm suffering about my coffee today. It was too rough to make coffee.
Oh my goodness, it's gonna taste so good again.
Are you ready? I'm ready to see your croissant.
I finally remembered.
Oh, I'm sorry. So good, you're dead. Was it worth the 16-hour passage just to have that? Well, that's good.
And also to see more of my friends.
Yeah.
And also to hopefully see North.
Yeah.
I know they have those 3.
Yeah.
It was all.
Yeah, that would be cool.